think we'll have time for about 2 more questions, I guess. Let me rephrase this one a little bit. When there are instances of police brutality, do you think that tends to reflect a lax culture of restraint in the department? Or is it simply that there are always going to be a few people who consistently violate procedures?
That's a great question. And the answer is it depends. I have seen it in departments where it clearly reflects the culture of the department. Clearly. And I'll tell you what, my colleagues at the national level for departments, communities our size, you know, we won't because we're professionals, but we could name names and tell you where you don't want to go in terms of having interaction with the police because the culture there is tolerant of those kinds of behaviors. In other cases where it is not a part of the culture, and given some of the complexities that I tried to describe for you, then you look at the individual incident and what's driving that. Is it somebody that had a bad day? Is it somebody who wasn't trained adequately? Is it somebody who was a bad hire? That happens. You know, like myself, when you come from the outside and inherit 688 police officers, I haven't got to hire one cop yet. I've been to the academy, I've spoken to the new class, I've been able to share my vision with them, but I haven't been able to make those hiring decisions yet. Thankfully, I have a lot of confidence in the people that have made those decisions. But sometimes you get a bad hire, they're a bad fit. So I would say it really depends on the community. And one thing to watch for is when reform chiefs are hired. I'll give you an example, New Orleans. New Orleans probably has, for decades, had one of the worst reputations of the police department. Corruption like you would not believe. On-duty police officers committing robberies and murders, okay? Uniformed cops committing robberies and murders. That's a problem. And they hired a reform chief, Richard Pennington, some years ago. Richard Pennington had to have somebody else start his car every morning, you know, because that's the kind of cops he was dealing with. So watch for that when a reform chief is hired in some of those cities. I mean, clearly, Bill Bratton is in LA for a reason. And that department went from being the quintessential 50s and 60s model of the professional model of policing. In the 50s and 60s, if you were going to say, what's one of the most professionally, well-trained, sharp image police departments in the country, everybody said LAPD. How many people today would say LAPD is the benchmark against which they want their local police department measured? So when you see reform chiefs implemented, then that might give you an indicator that there's cultural issues there that need. Otherwise, it probably comes down to the individual employee.